Brett, good morning, everyone. Like I said, today we are having a speech practice. First we've had in quite a while, and it's definitely something that I kind of want to do a lot more. But if you could all kick off the meeting, I'll kick off the meeting by rising. And if you feel free to join me in doing our flag and reciting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today's timer is a little less. Is there someone who could be a timer? All right, so I'll give this to you. Typically, after the pledge, we like to start with communication to start off our day. And luckily, we have it for you. So, if you need an impromptu one, we have it.
The brilliance of the positive lessons are not always taught in positive ways.
All right, so if you haven't met Beth yet today, Beth is our area director. They've changed the titles. So please help me welcome Beth for being not only a great guest, but also helping us out by being a chief judge. All right, before we get going, do we have a meeting minutes from last week? Again, did he get anything? Did we see that anything?
Last week we didn't have a meeting.
Oh,
it wouldn't be next meeting.
So
it would be before.
I think we can have. I think I can definitely just recap last week's meeting. That, of course, I was not here. I was at that conference last week. More on that later. But we attempted to get the gap. We'll have to regroup and repeat that. I'll make sure that next time we attempt that, we succeed. So, let's see. Is there any old business? There's one piece of old business I don't want to talk about today. We got to. Is there any new business? We have announcements. Let's see what we have here. Does anybody first off? Does anybody have any announcements?
I have a slightly non-TechMaster related announcement.
Yes.
If anyone knows of a mid-level .NET developer looking for a full-time position, I have one. And it's remote. For a very fun company called Tastefully Simple. But you can say the truth. I'm coming after you.
Any other announcements? So there are a few topics for discussion today. I believe that later today there's a meetup for the Lean Startup Group, which was started by our former Leah Lats. So that's something we've been doing here. I believe it's at 3 o'clock today. I believe around the time. And it is at in Park Place East office. Definitely a place a good place for meeting people who are obviously looking to be leaders, starting up their own business, entrepreneurs, like that. And of course, like I said, it's started by one of our guest members. It's an interesting meetup to take a look at. I have an announcement that next week we will have a guest speaker, Dave Rasmus. He is the Speechcraft chair for the entire district, which is checking into Bristol, Minnesota. Anyway, when I was at the TechMasters Leadership Institute, I came across an idea of Speechcraft. I mentioned it during one of the TechMasters, and I thought that it was a really good idea if we could implement it correctly to build memberships as well. And so I invited Dave Rasmus to come speak with us next week. So anyway, so we'll have him come here and give us the whole spiel and try to figure out how we can incorporate that. I have some ideas for what's more practical. Other things I want to here, I brought some information welcome package. So was business, pick out business kind of setup, but I have to do some work on that one. In the near future, we're gonna have everything set up. So you can think about it detail, because it just seems like a bit of, can't pay for the credit card or anything like that. So luckily, we'll be able to get that done. And then leadership training myself, Leah, and I believe Alex are done. And one more. Like city council. Who's it? Deadline is the end of the month, so I will start getting ready. Well, I don't do that. Morning about something? So today, the winner of today's speech contest will go on to the Area 96 Fall Human Speech Contest, which is Thursday, September 10th. And we'll hear more about that later. And we'll skip any of the other business or any of the other things we have going on here. If you have. Right, great. So, see, I think that's it. Anybody else have any announcements? All right, so today I'm going to introduce the contest chair. Today, the member who graciously stepped up to lead our contest and be kind of the postmaster role for the day is Tony Bierstadt.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We seem to be lacking a few of our chief judges and such, but I will take a shot at not going ahead and stall. Just hear one about trying to get some jokes that, but I guess we'll have enough humor later. As Vince pointed out, it's sort of my job to facilitate the flow today. Keep things moving, make sure everybody's job is pointed out. Just like chief judge will be going over this job and discussing the roles, but it's my role. And at this point, I'm gonna introduce that some of those I already addressed. I'm here to discuss the roles of the various.
Good morning, everybody. I'm really happy to be here today. And that you haven't been this speech contest. I'm not going to tell you jokes. I don't think I'm very funny. I also only know about one joke at a time because I can't remember the punchlines. So no humor for me. Just a couple of things for the contestants about the humorous speech contest is that you select the material for your speech, but it should be original material. And just keep in mind that you should avoid potentially objectionable language and anti-judge material. The winner of this contest then goes on to the division and ultimately to the district and even to the fall speech contest. We are perhaps everyone might have delicate sensibilities, so we just ask. And the other thing about the humorous speech contest, it can't be a series of one-liners. You actually have an opening, a body, and a conclusion. So maybe too late, you've already prepared your speeches, but it can answer that. So the roles for the speech contest, we have, we want to, of course, have judges for the speech contest. And who here is signed up to be a judge? I know Pia is. Great. I have forms for you. So on one side, there's, actually, let me grab one of the forms. So the judge's guide and the ballot looks like this. So you put the person's name at the top, and then there's some kind of instructions on dividing points. Then at the bottom, when everything is over, you put who you think should win, who should be in second, who should be in third place. So the points up here are really just for you. You can decide at the end that the person who has the most points really isn't winning. If you decide that, and then you tear off the bottom, and you'll be given an envelope, put that in, and I will collect them. And then myself and the ballot complicated with Alex, we will tally up the results. There are more guidelines on the back of those applicants, so that you can see kind of what you're judging with regards to the humor speech. What is the timer today?
I had one point of suggestion here. Since Clea is going to be busy judging, I wonder if it would be a good idea if Alex would.
Sure. Do you do the timer as well, Alex? So there's also a form for the timer, and the reason that is important is that the humorous speech contest, it must be between 4.5 and 7.5 minutes. And if it doesn't fall within those parameters, the speech is disqualified. It's really important. That's why we practice those 5 to 7 minute speeches as well as speech contests. Unlike in most meetings where you, at the end, the timer says how long the speech was, you don't do that during the speech contest. Because that, if someone isn't in the final lineup, it's complicated. It's about disqualification. You don't want to basically announce it.
Question. Are the red, green, and yellow cards still displayed?
They are displayed, yep. And they're really important because obviously the speaker doesn't want to go over 7 minutes. At the end, Alex and I will go to the back of the room and we'll tally up the ballots, yeah. And during that time, your contest chair will interview all of the contestants. And I think that's it. We took out some paperwork for people to fill out for the speakers. There's a speaker eligibility form that we need to.
Yep, we'll do that at the break. Contestants will do that. And do you want to mention the tie-breaking judge at all, or are we gonna not use that?
So one of you judges will be given a tie-breaking judge's ballot. It's basically like equal to the regular one, but we only use it as just a tie. You just complete all the paperwork, and then when you're done, you'll be given an envelope and you rip off the bottom and put it in an envelope. Any questions?
Is it one sheet per speaker, or do we grade all the speakers?
All the speakers on one sheet. And at the end, we ask you to destroy your tally rather than share it with the speakers. It's intended to be competition.
And one more thing, as far as the evaluations are concerned, with no formal evaluations, we're going to want to have everybody fill out evaluation forms if you can, if you have time.
So, any other questions? Clear enough?
Everybody clear about the rule, ballot counter, timer? All right, great.
Back to you.
At this point, we will take a 5-minute break. I think we have some straws up here, yes. I would like the speakers to come up here, and we're going to take an order. And then everybody else?
Make sure that you have the form that you need.
Yes.
4.5.
Or that the goal is,
Yeah.
4.5 disqualifies, and if they don't make it 4.5, your game is 5 to 7.
So the green card was at the top. But, and when you're filling out that report, you can as well.
So we do green is 5,
Yep.
yellow is 6, and red is 9.
Thank you. Well, yeah.
All right. All right. Short straw.
Well,
Fill out and sign, we'll follow the rules.
yeah, fair.
Kind of not a rule follower, but I'm doing my best.
It's not. All right, I'm gonna take one, get you.
This is gonna be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Keep them on file. Keep them on file.
Yeah.
Index.
It's a little secret.
So that they don't see the
Yeah.
person before. You recommend can.
And to judge on the one.
Yeah.
Right, and that way you can just make it fresh each time.
Yeah.
Each time.
That serious man who really had to go.
These things are folded all together. Some of them there.
Is that your new member packet?
Yes.
I'm gonna submit it for the contest.
Remember packet?
Mm-hmm.
Will we give it to you?
You can give it to me and I'll send it off to, all right.
It of course is missing one key. That one. That is a business card. Like a big human box.
Oh, yeah.
And then.
Yeah, well, you get that.
We had these issues somewhere.
So after I speak, everybody
It's nice.
I'm gonna look at one.
can give you that. So instead of you're ready.
Alrighty then. We have had 5 minutes. And it's time for the speech contest to commence. Now, if you aren't already a judge, you should have an evaluation form and be evaluating the speakers. Now, I think even our speakers could evaluate the other speakers, because the idea is for everybody to get as much feedback as possible on their speech. Especially since possibly a speech that you might want to take on to, if they win, this might be what they want to teach their material for the next level. So, a little bit of feedback might help our contestants. The first speaker today is Brett Estes. Brett, longtime member. I guess he predates me. So I would like to welcome Brett to talk about a serious man who really had to go. Please welcome Brett Estes.
Good morning, fellow TechMasters. Today I'm going to be telling you a story about a very serious man. And that man pictured above, of course, is my father-in-law, Rajiv Chandra, standing next to my mother-in-law, Meera Chandra. My father-in-law is a very educated man. He's a very direct man, a very succinct man. Not verbose in any way. You come up to him, and with a bunch of excitement, say, oh, you know, this happened, you might get a nod, a yes, no. And, you know, he'll go on with his life. He's very direct, very quiet, very hard to read. And so when people first meet him, a lot of times they think he's intimidating. So take that mixed with me being the son-in-law. Our relationship for the first couple of years of my marriage with his daughter was a little bit strained. Now to illustrate this, I'm going to tell a little bit of a story about our wedding proposal. In 2004, my wife surprised me with a wedding proposal in the bathroom at the bar of all places. She proposed to me, and in front of all my friends, and of course I said, yes, absolutely. And right after I said yes, she said, you get to tell my dad. So they lived in Africa at the time, so going in person wasn't a real likely option. I wanted to take a very long flight. So I did what any respectable shooter would do. I said, I'll email him. So I get to my computer the next day and I type this long email, something you might expect, you know, a doting husband to write to a father-in-law. And sent and sat and waited. Minutes. Well, I started to get nervous, hours go by, a day goes by, 2 days go by, 3 days go by, and man, okay, he for sure did not get this email, right? Because I would reply probably pretty quickly at my daughter's. So what should I do? Well, I'll send it again. So I go to my sent folder, find it, said, I'm not sure if you got this, but you might want to read the email below. Send. A couple minutes pass, hours pass, days, a week goes by. So finally, my wife's like, have you talked to my dad? And I'm like, well, I emailed him. She's like, what? You emailed him? You should have called him. And I'm like, he hasn't emailed me back. I'm getting nervous. I don't know what's going on. So my wife's like, fine, I'm going to call him. So she calls him. And says, Papa, it's the email from Brett. Yeah. And, well, we're making arrangements. You know, that was it. So this big life-changing event, very little response, he just goes right into action. So for the first part of our relationship, I had this image of him just being this serious, stern guy. That's what I thought. In 2008, after our wedding, we went to the Swan for a trip to visit the in-laws. I brought one of my friends, and we were going to go on a safari to the Chobe National Game Park. So from Gaborone, where they live in Botswana, to Chobe is 11-hour drive of about nothing but potholes and speed traps. No gas stations, no restaurants. It's just this horrible road with a bunch of speed traps for 11 hours. And I don't know if anybody here has trouble. And I don't want to get into too much detail about this, but when I travel, especially when I'm in a plane for a long time, it does bad things to my stomach. Like things kind of just stop, and I'll leave it at that. And in Indian culture, if anyone here is familiar with it, that's a very important thing that they talk about. Like, how's your stomach? Is everything okay? And they know from other trips that I had issues. And this trip was no different. So I wasn't feeling real good for most of the trip. And we finally get to Chobe, and the whole time we're going through these speed traps, and my father-in-law keeps calling my mother-in-law in the car head saying, slow down, there's a speed trap, She's kind of a let go, it's not for speeding a lot. And we finally get to the game park, we do our safari, everything's great. And on the way back, I'm feeling horrible. Like I'm facing this 11-hour drive, stomach's still upset. It's like, well, can't do anything about it, gotta drive. And so We're about 6 hours into the drive. I'm starting to feel nauseous. I'm sitting with my father-in-law who's silent most of the ride, like he can't get even more than a couple words out of him. And I'm like, Papa, I gotta find a place, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm not feeling good at all. And all of a sudden, he looks at me with this alarm and he floors it. Like, he's like, okay, well, your stomach's been upset, we better find a place. And he's going, just speeding like crazy, right through a speed trap. And all of a sudden, the African police come out, like they're kind of chasing him down on the car, and they don't carry guns yet, they have sticks. And my father-in-law looks at me, he looks at the cops, and he gets out of the car, and he runs across the street and stands there and pretends to go to the bathroom. And he stands there like this for about 2 minutes. And so, okay, what happens in America if you run out of your car when, cops chase you? Not good, right? But he stands there, he's faking a pee, and the cops are just waiting for him. And I'm sitting in the car, I'm like, I know he's not really going to the bathroom. About 2.5 minutes, he stood there. And so finally, he comes back up and he goes to the cop, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, officer, I just really had to go to the bathroom. I was trying to find a place. I didn't want to go on the road. It's horrible, it's horrible, it's horrible. And the officer says, okay, well, I still have to give you a ticket, but I'll cut it in half since you really had to go to the bathroom. Another thing that wouldn't probably happen here. And so he comes back into the car, and I'm looking at this guy who, like, I've never seen even crack a joke, just run out, fake the pee stage, this huge thing he should have won an Oscar for. And I'm just like staring at him like, oh my God, what did you just do? And he's like, right, he's like, the whole ride here, at the point your mother-in-law telling her not to get a speeding ticket, it's like, I don't care about the ticket, I can't deal with her. So he was very, very upset about the mother-in-law saying, you were telling me not to get a ticket, you got a ticket. So he went through pretty elaborate measures to ensure he did not get a ticket. So at that point, my impressions kind of changed. I started to realize, okay, maybe he's not direct and a little bit cold. Maybe he's just very reserved. And as I've gotten to know him better, it's true. He's a very happy person. He's a very quiet person. And he's a very loving person. And he just doesn't go out of his way to make a bunch of noise. And coming from an American culture where we talk a lot, we're very verbose, it can be a little bit strange at first. But this is him with my daughter and my wife. This was last summer when they were here. And another picture which I captured, because this is how I think of him now. I used to think of him as a kind of a very, very stern person. But that time when he ran out of the car and decided to fake a pee to avoid the speeding ticket changed my view of my father-in-law forever. So with that, I will turn it back over to our Toastmaster.
All right. We'll give our next contestant a few moments to prepare. Slide at a time. If I really didn't prepare, I'd probably gone to joke of the day and had a list of jokes to tell. I could tell you about my pet pal growing up, but I'd probably be beaten for that joke. Well, it comes down to a crying moth and punchline being, have you ever seen a moth fall? Which tends to, when you've done a joke like that, and you stretch it out and drag it through minutes or hours of storytelling, people tend to get a little, you wasted that much time of my life? And that's the punchline? All right. Our next contestant is our club president, Mr. Vince Walter, and he's going to tell us today what is a family vacation. Please welcome Vince.
Thank you, Tony. Today we're going to talk about what is a family vacation. So first off, a little bit about me. Growing up, we never really had too much. My dad spent the first half of his life on a farm, and the second half of his life in the military. When I was a college dropout, we never really did a whole lot. I never had a real vacation. I've never been to Disney World. We never, our idea of a family vacation was driving up to North Dakota to see my dad's brother. So it was nice to be in development actually. Now, my family, me, my wife, and my 2 kids, still on a vacation. We had a little honeymoon. We went to Indiana for another wedding. And last year we had a 2-week vacation. We didn't go too far. But this year we wanted to break out a little bit. I just kind of feel like I'm just not used to vacation and have fun all the time, right? But this year things changed. We had a crazy 9-day trip all the way around Lake Michigan, stopping at all the spots. We have way too much. No. We just got back on Sunday, and I'm here to tell you all about it. So, I really didn't know what to make of a family vacation. I thought, I'm really going to figure this out and figure out what the right thing to do. I had a lot of fun. Of course, in my head, this is my perception, right? We all get to go do something fun, and everybody has fun, and everything just goes perfectly. But in reality, things just don't go according to plan. Like the universe just kind of works against you, and Murphy's Law really takes effect. So last week I presented at that conference. That conference is a big tech conference, and when you go there, when you go to present, you're given a free ticket to the conference, which is worth something. But also, sit down at the beautiful Kalahari Resort. Fantastic, really great thing, really great trip and everything. And I thought, hey, let's plan the vacation around this time. My wife really wanted a vacation. She had vacations growing up. I didn't, so I said, okay, we're gonna plan a really cool vacation. So we left on Saturday. Drove to the depth. Great. We left an hour late because we have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and we're packing half the things we own. We had to pick up passes to the park. Apparently, the entirety of Wisconsin Dells was trapped back in the 1800s or something, or at least like 2004, when you couldn't do everything online, right? The address on the e-coupon was a warehouse. It didn't actually sell passes. So I had to track that down somewhere. But apparently, these discount passes sold everywhere. You know, you need to know what the heck was that. Honestly, seriously. Anyway, so we finally get to the hotel. Wi-Fi wouldn't work. You know what? As anybody who's ever given a technical presentation can tell you, the technical presentation was done about 5 minutes before we started. It will always work in peak hour, right? So yeah, that was a bummer. I couldn't do anything. The staff was horrific. I can't believe that these people are in business with anything sense. Breakfast needed to be augmented. I don't understand the continental breakfasts are typically the best in the world, but this had basically a handful of mini muffins, a pile of cookies, some orange juice, and coffee. It was on it. Why bother? I don't understand. We forgot the theme park passes in the room when we went to take off for the day and checked out. And I mentioned the staff was horrible. Yeah. Luckily, the people I know are a lot nicer. I showed them my receipt and said, come on. But luckily, we only had to stay in that hotel for one night, and we stayed at a much better one the next day. And had work our day. I didn't get to go to it. Yeah, because I was busy the whole time at the conference, and we were busy on Monday and Tuesday nights. So whatever. My pregnant wife can't go on any fun rides, and neither can my 4-year-old and 1-year-old, which means that out of solidarity, neither can I. Monday night, we went to Wizard Quest. My 4-year-old was so obsessed with it. Oh, I'm going to say the Wizard Quest. Great, right? Well, everything's broken, just letting you know. And it was way too hard for kids. It was absurd. You got to be at least in middle school to do anything. And I had a baby on it, so I couldn't actually crawl in the little things I was supposed to crawl in. I'm like, hey, could you go crawl in there and solve a puzzle, 4-year-old? Nope, my pregnant wife did. That's great. That was fun. Tuesday, we had a duck boat tour. Pros, beautiful. It was great. It was absolutely gorgeous. The cons, jokes. The tour guide decided to make horrible jokes. By his own accord, this was his best joke. He drove by some stone statues and he said, don't take these statues for granted. Granted. My 1-year-old was awfully scared at first, but eventually he got used to the tour guide's jokes. Wednesday, Chicago. Here's what I posted on Twitter and Facebook. You know what I love? Rush hour traffic in Chicago. My friend who knows I live in St. Paul says what's wrong. Made a joke about Dumb and Dumber and Factory. We kept noticing that the sign said there are 577 traffic deaths in Chicago, Illinois, I can't remember, last year. And sitting there, at one point, we had 12 miles to go and said it was going to take us 50 minutes. I'm like, that's not right. It was. Yeah. So At one point I said, 537 traffic deaths, I wonder how many of those are road rage. And how many of those are people saying, not worth it, driving into a ditch. I'd like to see that breakdown. Thursday, we had a lot of fun in Chicago. We went to the Sky Deck, which was not anywhere near as good as I thought, but it was fun. And we went to the Lincoln Park, which we ride our bike. We could ride our bikes. Right. Friday, we drove up the coast of the western coast of Michigan, along Lake Michigan. We came through Sleepy Bear Sand. Anybody ever seen that? Great. Huge, right? Beautiful, right? Now, my perception of it was that it was one big hill and then you go to Lake Michigan. I was wrong. It was about a mile and a half of very, 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 very hilly terrain. When we came to that conclusion, we turned around. Of course, you can see I was properly dressed for a very hot day. I was in all black and long pants, and I was wearing a baby. So, perfect, absolutely perfect, right? Here's us on the way up, and here's me on the way down. By the look on my face, you can tell I was having an absolute blast, carrying about 50 pounds of children. The most horrific weather ever. Random Friday thing, the Yoga Club. Then we drove over to Mackinac Island. Nothing funny to say about that. It's super awesome island. All right, Saturday, from UP, we drove all the way through the Upper Peninsula of Michigan into Wisconsin. We went to the Sichua Lighthouse. It was pretty, except that my kids couldn't go there. Said we're going to Lighthouse. Keep going there. Two things are so neat: fudge and pasties. That's it. So Saturday night, Packer thing. It's my Reddit post. We just crossed into Wisconsin and immediately someone sees me at the hotel and do my Harrison pictures and says, "Vikings suck." Great. Wonderful hospitality. Well, I got them back. I went to Lambeau Field, all horse and let. Alright, so that was it. Family vacation, the dream. Taking a fun and relaxing break from the grind to connect with each other and experience some other things we remember forever. But the reality, you're wasting a lot of money, failing to please family members with spared ideas of fun, while the universe conspires to career future. Mr. Captain.
All right. We just heard about a wonderful family vacation. I think probably anybody who's ever done a family vacation can remember some of those kind of moments. Of course, sometimes it might, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I guess I've never done many family vacations like that. I think they went on one where we went out and actually did something. So,
Go sit up. He's buying time for you, man.
Sorry, set up. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. Turn the projector off. Don't unplug it. Let's turn off. Let's bring it up.
So, all right. I think without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Nikki's going to tell us about some funny U.S. traditions. Tell us. Go ahead.
How you guys doing? Hope you enjoyed the contest. So far, so good. All right. Well, we're going to talk what we're going to talk to you about is funny and weird U.S. traditions. I guess what's funny about them is that they might not seem so funny to you if you were born here. They might seem actually quite normal, but they would be funny and weird for people who haven't spent most of their lives. So where do we start? Well, let's start with the greetings. How do we normally greet people, right? We say, "Hi, how are you? How are you doing? Did you see how I started the meeting?" I think that's doing. Well, you guys didn't hear. You think I didn't hear? They want to hear every single one of your answers. What do you think? I guess not. You know, even if I do hear, I probably don't have the time. Because what outside of presentations, we do exactly the same thing. We ask people a question, how are you doing? And we don't expect an answer. You know, for us, it seems normal. For somebody who's from outside US, it might seem a little insulting because they want to tell you their story. So I have to tell you what happened to me. I was actually traveling in Europe. I was in a train. There was this old lady. She was sitting right next to me. She was really charming. She was really nice. And I wanted to be nice back to her. So I asked her, hi, how are you doing? Well, yes, what happened? For the next 40 minutes, she was telling me about her life. She told me she woke up with a high blood pressure. She had to go to the doctor. She had to go shopping after that. Then she had to do her grandsons. She told me about family. She told me more about their traditions, you know, what they do in the family, and all this useless knowledge that I didn't ask really for, right? And, you know, it's so nice. I had a good feeling because I really communicated with her. I mean, it's nice to be like talking to people. You know, I'm a really sociable guy. But at the same time, it was really low trip. I had a hard time. You know, I was a little tired, and I missed my train stop. It was not good. So lesson learned. When you're outside the United States, if you ask somebody, before you ask somebody how they're doing, you're sure that you have at least 30, 40 minutes to listen to their answers. Be careful. So what else can we do that's actually funny? Well, personal space. We do take our personal space for granted, right? We really like our personal space. If somebody comes too close to us, what do? We push back, or we stand back, or we try to avoid the person like they have a bad breath. It's something that we just do here. We don't like when people get in our faces. Well, guess what? Outside US, there's many people out there that get really social, really close to you. They get right in your face and they don't mind. So here's another story. I was in Spain and I found this really good family restaurant. I went there, I ordered my food. The food was really good. The place was really crowded. So I found a table, I ordered my food, I was sitting down. Well, guess what happens next? A local Spanish couple shows up and they sit right at my table. This is a little ridiculous, but you know, I want to be polite. So I got up and I apologized. I thought maybe it's their table, maybe I didn't see them. So I got up and I found myself a different spot. I sat down and you know, I continued with my food. Well, guess what happened next? 5 minutes later, a guy showed up and sat right next to me, started drinking his beer. You know, this time I was a little more smart. I was actually observing people. So I knew it was not his table, so I confronted him. I said, hey, you know, this is my table. You know what he said? This was kind of interesting. He actually didn't say anything. He just asked me one question. Are you American? I'm like, you know, I didn't know what to say. You know, I really felt bad, and you know, I finished my food. I got up, I left the place, and I realized, well, maybe being from America or living in America for so long, I'm taking my personal space for granted, and I put too much pressure. Other people probably don't care about it as much. So what else do we do here? Well, the thing is how we treat pets might seem a little crazy to some people, because we really treat our pets like our kids or people, or even better than people, right? So there was this lady, I remember, she was in the park, she was pushing a stroller, and I remember she was, you know, she was happy, you know, like a stroller. And what do you expect to see in a stroller, right? Cute little face, right? So I was expecting to see cute little face. And can you imagine my surprise when instead of cute little face, I did see a cute little furry face? You know, I was a little shocked, but I recovered quickly, and I'm like, okay, can you tell me about your dog? So she told me about her dog. I was concerned there was any medical problem. Well, there was no medical problems. The only reason she was strolling him around is because she was worried that after a long day in the park, the pet would get too tired from running around. Seriously? Didn't God give 4 lads to die so they would be happy to run around? Would any dog be much happier to run around than being strolled around and pushed around in a stroller? That's what I thought. Well, probably she didn't think so. Then there was another occasion with this guy in my neighborhood. I see him a lot. He was really nice, upkept dogs, you know, really pleasant, good looking. But there was something really strange about them. Every time I see them, they wear, well, it's kind of hard to describe. They wear suits and ties. And every time I see them, they wear a different suit and tie. They probably have more suit and ties than I have suit and ties in my wardrobe, right? And the quality of them was really good. I'm sure they probably spend as much, you know, money on that as I do on my attire. So it was a little weird. I mean, isn't the reason dogs have fur so they don't get cold. They don't really need suits and ties. I mean, I understand maybe, some shoes or some leg warmers, that's different. But it wasn't a cold day, so not sure why we're wasting both this time on suits, ties, strollers, and everything else. Then my friend told me that she's not surprised after seeing all this. My friend told me that she was giving Prozac for her cat. Well, that's fine, you know, you can give any drugs and exercise, you might be your better die with my act or something stronger. You never know. So this is just some funny things and like how we treat our pets. So what else do we do? That's interesting is greeting cards obsession, right? We really take our greeting cards seriously. They're like everywhere. If you guys been to Walmart, then you can get lost and you can spend days there. I mean, there's so many holidays that you learned about from just looking at greeting cards. How many we don't need a lot. Those occasions people get born, they graduate, you know, they retire, they marry, you know, they die, you know, happy and sad occasions, but we don't need a lot. There's only a few. But then some of the cards I just don't get. Like, for example, everyone loves donuts. Really? You get a card like that? We're going to give this card. Maybe if you have a friend who is a cop who would appreciate the humor, but who knows? Or this card I saw the other day. It's the beginning of the football season. I want to remember your face. Really? Is it going to give it to your wife? I mean, how long do you expect to stay married if you're going to give it to your wife? She's probably going to divorce you and tell you she's divorcing you because she doesn't want you to forget her face. I'm just did say. Or another card, the card just to say hi. I mean, really? I mean, you're just too lazy to just tell it to me in person. Or if you don't want to tell it to me in person, why don't you just use the internet or email or something else? I mean, who in the 4th century sends a card just to say hi? And finally, this one. Happy Valentine's to a single person. Seriously? I mean, who do you think is going to send you that card? Is your ex going to send you that card? Or are you going to ask your parents to send this card to you because nobody else can send it to you? Or are you going to send it to yourself? If you calculate it right, you know, this postal service takes about 2 days, so if you mail it on the 12th, you'll get it on the 14th. You know, just in time to celebrate the moments. Right? So there's a lot of things that are funny in U.S. culture. If you guys want to find more, just look around. You'll find them where you have not seen them. So with that, I want to turn it back to Tony.
My question for you, it was funniest people you want over time.
Is there one on that?
Yeah, I guess this one, this is what do you not choose to?
All right. At this time, our chief judge is going to collect the ballots, and collect our timers report, and our Alex, you and Jeff will retire and count our ballots.
We'll give the judges just a little bit of time.
And we'll give the judges a couple moments here. I think we could probably all relate to some of the stories that we've heard today. But when you were talking about your father-in-law, it reminded me in some ways of some of the candidates we've been in.
Why don't you invite the speaker to stand up there with you?
Yeah. Why don't you?
Right.
Well, all three of you. All three speakers, please come back up. We're going to do a little mini interview. But so one of the things that if you go to the actual book, it does talk about you can take the contest chair, you can take this time to do a little interview. So one of the things I've been finding is that cultural disconnect that people have, and I hear a little bit of that in both of you and their stories about the cultural disconnect. And I've been interviewing people who sometimes wonder, am I not related to this person because of their culture, because they're coming from a different culture? Or is it just their backhand? So how do you deal with some of this cultural adjustment? Give us a couple moments.
Trial by fire. It's one of those things that when I was younger and realized I was going to be married into a different culture, it's kind of one of those things that you think that's going to be awesome and so pleasant and diverse sort of thing. And it is all that, but it also, as you get older and you start to realize that there are actual serious differences, that there's work that you have to do, especially in marriage, to deal with that stuff. So it's got its good and bad, but the most important part I've learned is learning about their culture on my own. So reading their religious books, reading some of the stuff that they take seriously, and being able to talk to them about it. And once you do that, I find people
Yes. There's a thought. This was your first time having your family vacation. Are you, so what do you want to do to top this one? Well, you got 2 weeks and you're gonna go on the next family vacation. What are you gonna do?
2 weeks.
Well, not in 2 weeks, but for a 2 week period.
Well, we have a lot of fun. I mean, I don't want to make it seem like everything's terrible. We have a lot of fun, and we definitely want to do these kind of things again. But we want to make sure that we relax. We do not try to fit too many different individual things. And we want to relax a little bit more. And next year we're going to have another kid. So we're definitely going to try to make sure that we don't put ourselves over the top of our practice. And we want to plan. Instead of just saying, hey, let's joke with you, and then I'll hear you setting up the kids. And you're the guy. And of course, I'm breaking license. Her Fitbit said 83 stairs, flights. Yeah. Yep. Great. So good on her. Yeah. But anyway, so and plan a lot more and try to get it. But
which tradition have you found hardest to adjust to? That we have. You have obviously.
Not my thing. You know, normally a lot of people in Europe, you start working at 9, 10, you don't get up, and you finish your work at like 4, right? I mean, you work less hours, nobody works, oh, actually, I have to take it back, people need to work more, but nobody else works more. So we are officially workaholics, guys, I know that, but we are. So, and it took a long time for me to adjust, and seriously, getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you see, I was a little sleepy at the beginning of my speech, just not me. Everybody in my office, they know I like late. So I'm nowhere really at 9:30. My boss, like a long time to get adjusted to it. It's like, seriously, thank you for coming to work today. Thanks for showing up. Then you realize it just it was really hard.
I don't know about you, but getting up is still. I never adjusted to that.
We'll just try this later.
I lived in there. That's actually my biggest struggle with this meetings, because I'm normally a cheery, like funny guy, but just can't force myself. See that energy drink over there? So what I do to pick myself up and just get ready for the speech. It's not myself.
I did that. Brad, have you incorporated any special Indian traditions into your life?
I would absolutely say yes.
Tell us about one.
Indians tend to celebrate everything. If you go to India, it's a holiday all year round. There's something going on. They have such a diverse collection of religions and subcultures within their religion that there's always something going on. So as a result of that, I started to celebrate holidays, lots of holidays that I never knew existed. I mean, big ones like Holi and Diwali, things like Garbachat, and several other ones that are related to marriage, related to born, related to sisters, related to brothers. And so I'm always, every week there's something going on with celebrating holidays. That's probably the biggest thing, and of course trying to do my best to learn the language so I can communicate better with family.
Are you learning language?
I can read it and write it and understand it pretty well and
Wow.
speak it okay. But they all speak English too. but it's just that when they're together.
So you mentioned Sanskrit characters, right?
No, the language is based on Sanskrit, but that text you see in Hindi is Devanagari, which is not the same thing, but it's actually a very easy language to read. But I did it mostly so I could understand the conversations that are happening and not talking directly to me. Because when you go on trips, that's a huge part of the fun, like hearing people talking.
My dad and so this is a lot of German when they were growing up because their parents would always argue with each other.
It could be interesting growing up in multilingual background. I have a daughter-in-law who's from Peru, and so it's going to be interesting to watch how my grandchildren pick that up. How much of that they pick up. So Vince, describe your ideal family vacation. And that might be without your family, but
Yeah,
I don't eliminate that possibility, but.
I thought about that. I said, no, I could have accomplished all these things. Had I done it more efficiently, then it's much too full. But from an ideal family vacation, I really think that I'm going to wait till my kids are at least like 5-ish or perfect, where we can kind of have the mixture of kids stuff and bigger kids stuff and stuff. You won't have to be tracked in the hotel with 8 when you go to see. And also, I don't know why I didn't have to force them in order to get room to get the hotel room with 2 bedrooms. 1 bedroom.
Well,
Like I said,
at 4 and 1, as long as you've got enough beds, you might be having that second bedroom might not be there. No. Anyhow, then we're going to do one last question, and I will announce the results. Yeah. Which U.S. tradition yes. What new tradition did you learn from us? What experience from us that you liked the best? We found about the hardest one, but it's the easiest, the happiest.
Well, let's say, the main reason I'm saying it is just because it's one day right after my birthday. And I'm getting always an extra holiday, because it's always hard to celebrate. If your birthday falls in the middle of the week, like a lot of people do, this is really hard to celebrate. Well, guess what? Every year, almost every year, I celebrate my birthday as a national holiday. And what's better than having fireworks for your birthday? What's better than having a bunch of people having free time and being able to visit you for your birthday? Well, there's nothing else you can ask for. And it's just, a really nice and good tradition, and just, I like to say, everyone is really patriotic, so that just always adds to the excitement of my birthday. So that would probably be my best and favorite holiday and tradition.
Holiday birthday. Actually, I can relate to that. I have a holiday birthday too. Everybody dresses up in special costumes on my birthday and goes around begging for candy.
There you go.
And of course, you all get, as a kid, it was always, oh, aren't you a cute little goblin? We're on Halloween. Well, at this point, our esteemed judges have given me, and our chief judge has given us the results. And I suppose I could go down this in reverse order or something.
I would say who's
I'm going to announce our contest winner today is Vince. Congratulations, Vince. Taking second, Brett. Thank you, Brett. And Nick, thanks for a great speech talking about our traditions. And with that, now we have upcoming the district contest, and so Vince, you are a designated representative. If you cannot make it, be sure and let people know so that Brad, you take your place, or Nick, the Brad can't. You both can't. So that would be our results, and at this point, I am going to close the contest and turn this back over to our president.
All right.
Overton.
I will give you the contestants. You all sit down now. Sure, you guys are all asked what buttons. You all sit down. All right, great. So, well, thank you for voting. Yes, I almost kind of felt it not to Thursday protection. All right, so I wanted to kind of have a little bit of a general overview of the meeting as well. And I think that for a wacky club trying to get together and doing this for our first time, legitimately, instead of just naming people who've done that for us, it's like, hey, we'll present that to the next club. Actually, having a real contest, I think you did a pretty good job. And I want to do this more frequently, this kind of thing. I want to make sure that we are on the ball, that we're getting variety in our meetings, that everybody's just a little bit more engaged, a little more involved, and that we get more of it instead of doing a lot of those things over again. Now we have different kinds of experiences. We're going to build different kinds of skill sets, and people will be able to knock out more of their competent leaders and competent communicators and things like that. So I asked Tony to fill in something for me for my competent leader, and I would definitely like to fill out something for Tony as well for being the contest chair, and anybody else to have hand in hand in it, that kind of thing. It's kind of tough to get a lot of the competent leader things and to be able to capitalize on it in a normal meeting setting. Great. So I'd really like to try to cater a lot of what we're doing around getting people to achieve things, right? So anyway, I think we did a pretty good job, and I really want to thank Tony for stepping up, and I especially want to thank Beth again for not only coming to a meeting of the club that which she does not even belong, but also be able to be our chief judge and really help us formalize a lot from someone who has a lot more experience with a lot of this in these kinds of things. All right, so getting back to the business portion of the meeting here. So like I said, there is an area speech contest. And I'll turn these back on. So I will pull that up. So again, the area contest is Thursday, September 10th at Tons on Tide in Dinah, very close here on 1978th Street. And time, registration is at 5:30, the test and judge briefing is at 6, and the contest will start at 20. And not only is it, I don't want to be talking about myself, you can be a little more comfortable. I was talking to somebody else. Not only do you want to show your support for the person representing our club, but it's a good opportunity to take part in a larger setting, also possibly not something else of your company leader manual as well. So take a look at that, see if anything applies. We should supply a judge, so if you'd like to step up and get involved and see maybe funnier people present funnier things and have an even more structured event from people who've done this more, maybe very experienced folks, that sort of thing, please let me know so that we can get a little bit more involved as well. I've been a timer to contest like that. It was a good experience, and that's something that you might have. You recognize it. I like to know eventually you play. Yeah. Anyway, so it's a good networking thing, good way to learn new skills and meet other people, and just to get a different perspective from people who are really experienced. So, like I said, please let me know if you want to be a timer judge, whatever, so we can help coordinate that. Is there any new business to discuss? Nope. Any announcements? Okay, so the invitation timer it, or, yeah, it's great. Do we have a closing topic?
Random stuff. A winner says, let's find out. A loser says, nobody knows.
That I will adjourn meeting.
That's good. Well done.
Another thing.
I'll see you later.
I need to fill it out, I can take it with me right now.
7 minutes, it's just like.
I gotta end the meeting here.
Yes, you have to see.
I do realize